You know that moment when you're actually enjoying your life for a second, and then you immediately try to optimize the moment? Like you were actually having a nice little experience, a sunset, a decent cup of coffee, just a brief, illegal sense of peace. And then a voice in your head goes, "Quick, how do we make the most of it? Bonus points if we can also, format it into 5 lessons I learned from a moment of peace for LinkedIn." If you've done that, or if you've had to breathe the same air as anyone who uses the phrase thought leader without flinching, you've already met him. Today's character Vault Leak lets you meet the smooth-talking, urgency-generating, vaguely threatening man who enters your bedroom every time you start to relax. Not in a sexy way, in a "why isn't this rest more efficient" way. And look, towards the end of this video, we say a few things that have previously caused mild but memorable tension with HR. Meeting invites sent by a woman named Barb kind of tension. So, if you're currently at your desk, maybe don't play that part on speaker. Actually, given that this video is basically a how-to guide for triggering a follow-up email from Barb, maybe just wear headphones or lock the door. Probably both. Anyway, you've been warned. So, if after this video you find yourself spending unpaid time outside of work trying to figure out how to respond to Barb, we cannot be held responsible for any of that. Alright, let's jump in. You're watching the Character Vault, a semi-classified corner of the Spiralverse where recurring entities, inner exiles, and emotionally confusing situationships pass through to drop off their baggage and disappear before we can ask for a 360-degree performance review. Side effects may include recognizing yourself in places you were not planning to look, and a noticeable decline in your ability to cooperate with things that feel slightly fake, like corporate mission statements, small talk, and anything described as exciting in a calm voice. Brought to you by chaoticwisegirl, an independent entity with questionable boundaries between observing the chaos and accidentally becoming the main character of it. You know that pace you once called ambition? The one that left claw marks on your nervous system and love bites on your calendar? Yeah, that wasn't drive. That was him.
The Character Vault presents Mr. Velocity over Vitality.
Baby, rest is for people who aren't destined for greatness.
Meet Mr. Velocity over Vitality, the leather-clad situationship you never technically agreed to, but keep spiraling back to. He's the one who thinks strategic alignment is a form of foreplay, offers safety at a price of sovereignty, says "I got you" and means "I own you," and whispers "you could be more" until you forget you already are something.
Threat level.
Seductively catastrophic, can ruin your life and make you thank him for it.
Specialization.
Turning burnout into foreplay, whispering just one more thing until you forget you had a body.
Known weakness.
Goes limp if you pause long enough to feel your bones humming.
Rarity.
Disturbingly common, often mistaken for having a work ethic or being a visionary.
Spawn rate.
Extremely high, triggered by Sunday afternoons, meditation apps, and any unscheduled time that isn't currently being monetized.
Faction.
Freelance servant of Vorath. Contracts renewed quarterly.
Alignment.
Fiercely loyal to the dream of chaoticwisegirl making it, convinced that keeping her caffeinated, compliant, and half alive is what will get her there. Both terrified of her wildness and obsessed with it. Some call it love, the kind people write songs about, usually involving a lot of rain and occasionally a restraining order. Others would call it A high-functioning form of Stockholm Syndrome, where your fight and flight response is doing most of the flirting. Either way, it worked, for a while. Not in a calm Sunday morning way, more like a "this must be meaningful because it's destroying me" kind of way. These days, chaoticwisegirl still feels the pull when Mr. Velocity over Vitality texts at 12:48 a.m. She just doesn't follow it as far. Rumors about his birth vary depending on how much espresso you've had. Some say Mr. Velocity over Vitality was born the exact second the Cartesian split hit puberty, the moment we decided our heads were the CEOs and our bodies were just poorly managed HR departments. Others claim he's the unholy child of the Protestant work ethic, techno-rationality, and a barista who whispered, "You've got this, babe," into the wrong limbic system. Either way, he's here now. He's got a LinkedIn premium account, a resting heart rate of 110, and he's convinced that if you just stop blinking for 10 minutes, you'll finally hit your KPIs. Mr. Velocity over Vitality is always helmeted and smells faintly of burnt coffee and bad decisions. The kind you make when you haven't slept since Tuesday. He was last seen leaning on a motorcycle, phone in hand, texting chaoticwisegirl at unholy hours. He's basically the patron saint of pizza party instead of a race, and the reason your office has a meditation room that smells like bleach and unexpressed rage. Lately, he's been showing up as the keynote speaker at your company's resilience seminar, wearing a soft, expensive hoodie, teaching you how to breathe in a square so you can ignore the fact that your hair is falling out in a circle. And the thing is, he's not trying to ruin your life. He's just trying to make it more efficient. We're currently collecting testimonies. Frantic 12:48 a.m. screenshots or full confessions from that time you texted him back even though you absolutely knew better. The vault promises zero judgment, only knowing nods from other highly optimized ghosts trying to locate their bodies again. If you've seen too much and are now technically an accessory to this leak, hit subscribe and join the Witness Protection Program. It won't stop Mr. Velocity over Vitality from texting you, but it will help the algorithm understand that dissociating with style is, in fact, a valid content category.